Today, we talk about what it do. Hey, yo. So, you got into medical school. Now what? So someone asked me this question, so I told them I'd make a Q&A. Bottom line is, I guess from what this person was telling me is a lot of people take like a gap year between college and medical school or whatever. So, and then I got asked, what are some things I wish I knew before I started medical school? So let's kind of get into it. First and foremost, I would chill the fuck out, my guy. You're going to be plenty miserable in medical school and wish you had more fun before it started. So definitely take advantage of any and all opportunities to have a good time. Obviously, don't go overboard, but don't like deny yourself to get ahead in medical school. That just don't exist. Second of all, if you less related to this, but if you do have the opportunity to take like an anatomy course in college or your baccalaureate program or whatever you're doing for your pre-med credentials before you apply, I would definitely encourage having some background in anatomy before you get there, because I had barely, if any, and I was so lost during anatomy, man. That shit was so bad. Like, I was just not feeling that ish at all. Maybe just the way they taught it at my medical school was, to me, in my opinion, not well suited to my learning style. But yeah, anatomy, if you can get a heads up in anatomy, that's probably in your best interest. But yeah, other than that, there's nothing specific I would wish I did differently before medical school. And even that's a stretch, because I mean, if you're passionate and really want to go ahead with this medical ish, unlike me when I was kind of misguided and fucking 21-year-old showing up to medical school like clueless as fuck. If you have the passion to learn it, you'll just learn it on its own time. So don't skip out on a good time or good experiences and travel and all this other ish before medical school, just because, and yeah, I mean, a gap year seems a little excessive. I would not, that's the other thing. It's a double-edged sword, and I've talked about this in my previous video where I mentioned, I think the title was, do I regret being a young doctor? And I was trying to say how, like, at least in my specific circumstance, getting into medical school straight out of high school, and, just going straight all the way through, having no breaks, having no hiccups, not having to take the fucking MCATs, having no struggle, really, because I just had to maintain a minimum GPA in college and not have to, metaphorically suck any dick to get into medical school. So I had this super easy track getting in, and then I just show up in medical school, bop, and I'm just like thrown in for a whirlwind, because, people are like in serious relationships. I should be a senior in college still, partying, having a good time. And then here I am popped into medical school, and these are like hardcore, former Ivy Leaguers who either that or they, struggled to get into medical school, and now they're here and they're ready to fuck, you know what I'm saying? So, and then throw in like the super motivated people that were in whole different careers, dentists, engineers, artists, whatever. And now they're like, nah, fuck it, I want to be a doctor. And I know that for sure. So I'm going to actually go through with it as an adult decision. And then you show up and you see people with like serious relationships and, wives and fiancés and shit. And just like a super big whirlwind. And then it can be a little bit isolating, especially at least in my circumstance, like I explained. So going through it straight all the way through was kind of torturous, because I had no perspective of how intense this position was and the gravity of how serious medical school is and the opportunity that it is and how special it is. I only realize it now, being on the other end of it. But the flip side of that is, I'm so happy that I went straight all the way through, only because it's over and because it's so nice being a young doctor, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so nice having all that shit done now and just being able to focus on my career as a 31-year-old. So, yeah, that's what I would say. I hope that answers your question, but if you have additional ones, let me know in the comments. We'll see you on the next one. We out. Peace.